Well, for more, we'll cross now to our Hong Kong correspondent, Oliver Ferry. Hi, Oliver. So what do you think are the main takeaways from Xi Jinping's speech?
Well, Xi Jinping, when he was speaking at the Hong Kong Convention Centre, which is behind me, just across the water to the left of the frame, he said today that he more or less defended the crackdown on the pro-democracy section of Hong Kong over the last couple of years. He said that now patriots are ruling Hong Kong, and he said that no other country in the world would have tolerated quote-unquote traitors running a country now, aside from the fact that there is very little evidence to show that those members of the pro-democracy movement that are in prison are traitors, much less separatists. There are other examples of countries in the world where there are separatists involved in regional governments, such as in Scotland and in Northern Ireland. But for Xi Jinping, they are traitors. He was today, on the other hand, surrounded by patriots. Some in the opposition might say that he was actually surrounded by yes men and yes women, because the Hong Kong that he has now forged in the mainland's image is very much one where there is no dissent, and that everyone says more or less what Beijing wants it to, and it doesn't really give much in the way of constructive criticism even. So this was very much Xi Jinping coming to Hong Kong, a rather muted speech in fact compared to 2017 when he was last here, but it was also very much a triumphant one where he laid out the reasoning for the clampdown on Hong Kong's pro-democracy camp.
Now, Oliver, with all of that in mind, how do you think the new chief executive, John Lee's leadership, is likely to compare to that of Carrie Lam?
Well, it's going to be very much more of the same, with probably a greater emphasis on security. John Lee is a career policeman, spent more than 3 decades in the Hong Kong police force, and he has also been in government for the last 10 years, including as Secretary of Security. Many people believe that it was he and not Carrie Lam who was effectively running the city during the 2019 protests, and certainly the Hong Kong police were given free rein of the city to deal with the protest as they saw fit. Not a single police officer has been convicted for anything in the protest, despite wide-scale allegations of abuse. John Lee does not have much of a financial background, which dismayed quite a number of members of the financial community in Hong Kong. They said that he may not be up for the task, but Beijing wanted him and him only. He was the only person that was actually allowed to go forward, and he did face a ballot. It was very much a one-horse race, a foregone conclusion, but he stood for election nonetheless. But he will be very much more of the same as what has gone down in the last 5 years in Hong Kong, but will probably be even more unremitting in facing off any opponents of Beijing in Hong Kong.
All right, Oliver Ferry, thank you very much.